Alright, I'm going to do a couple of games of Spellbreak to use as an application for SpellCasters online team, the professional esports representation. I like talking a little bit, so I'm going to probably talk through a lot of the things that I do in game and maybe use anecdotes as the situation, because I'm going to be here for an hour, which, nice choice. As given normal situations, you never take spell classes before leaving because you don't know what kind of gauntlets you're going to get. I've consistently taken classes like Pyromancer Stone Shaper because I like the combinations of fire and the stone armor. Um, Plus, the gauntlets work really well together. Uh, I the previous game I played today, I was a Tempest toxicologist. Didn't do very well, but it was fun to play. Um, as mentioned in the email, I spent something like 3,000 hours in TF2 in 2013 when I played a lot. Since then, I've been in college. I haven't had a chance to play much more than recreationally, and well, there haven't been big games that have been piquing my interest the same as Spellbreak. Um, Whenever I play TF2, I would consistently play support classes. I'd play engineer a lot, um, and it was a lot more fun supporting my team than actually trying to concentrating in kills, and I think those kind of features apply very nicely to Spellbreak. Um, I'm just talking at myself. You guys can't really respond, so I'm gonna play through to see where my team wants to end up going. Um, I like going to a place where that's not super populated with shrines right away because if I've had a lot of experiences where I would drop down and there'd be 4 or 5 other teams of players who would all be trying to go to the shrine as well. It looks like at least 3 of my other team members, or 2 of my other team members, all wanted to go to the same place as me. I know, it's all 4 of them. Uh, so we'll see what happens. It's always been pretty enjoyable to run to the shrines. I like taking scouts sometimes because of that. Um, I'm just making sure to pick up everything that I get access to get the most valuable items, and we can start from there. Um, that's fun. That's common. Okay. Um, if that's the case, I'm probably going to take um, Stone Shaper Scout just as a combination. I see you can also get Flesh of Stone, which is a really nice combination because you get extra armor. Um, I haven't had a good chance to work with my team because they're, well, I don't have voice chat with them. I don't usually play with other people. One thing I like doing when I go to shrines is doing a quick super zone around the area to make sure that nothing bad's happening. Well, there's no enemies around. Um, I realize I have 2 extra gauntlets in my inventory. I probably don't need them. It's just like real life. Make sure to look before you cross the street. I like shadow stuff more actually. And that's fine. There, okay. Not sure if I'm going to be doing a lot of team fights with the people I'm working with, but worst case scenario, the damage that they would take from that would be good. I'm going to offer Wolf's Blood to any of my teammates who take a second to stop and look at me. I imagine I can communicate over Discord, but, well, I'm also not really in the mood to. Okay. I don't have any of that, or boots. No, I'm keeping that, and I'm also keeping that. Well, literally no one's over here. If anyone sees me. Hopefully that got her attention. Worst case scenario, we can start scouting around. As much fun as we go to that Ruby Grove shrine, I don't feel comfortable with that because the circle's closing down. I also can see, as the scout, I can see where the new ones are coming, and I think this would be much more beneficial anyways. That shrines. You guys already know that. Flight is always a fun rune, but I'm going to keep using Shadow Step for the time being. It's also considered an epic rune, even though that's not usually my go-to. Oh, I'm already really close, actually. It was always really funny. I consistently browse the Reddit for Spellbreak, and I've seen 2 suggestions to replace the audio quality for other players with what class and/or gauntlets they've taken, and so I think it'd be really cool too, having a team of people to play with, having different types of gauntlet combinations. Of course, and also playing the scout, you'd have options to, oh hey, this is the person I've marked. Oh hey, this person's gonna, be targeted from here. Um, Unfortunately, Stone and Toxic don't have a lot of combinations, so Toxic is going to be my replacement gauntlet for here on out. As you might see, I also have a Lightning Gauntlet in my inventory. I figured I could use that just in case, but if I do that, I'm probably going to want to switch these two. While that's waiting, figured I can fill up on some potions. I don't know if anyone's going to be coming, and worst case scenario, I can get this jump on them if they try showing up to the shrine before me. Okay. Email the scribe's always good. Okay. And I'll take that one actually. And that puts me ahead. Worst case scenario. And take that because I'm not sure about how team fights will persist. I consistently have a hard time communicating with my teammates when I run off and do shrines by myself. But a lot of times, if I'm 3 or 4 levels ahead of anyone else, I'll let them take the extra skill point because I don't need an extra several skill points. Well, having said, I'm actually going to take that. As mentioned, having wind and earth, that because they don't have any combinations, is going to be kind of weird, but I think it will be fun to have. I'm going to take tracking 2, especially now that both my teammates are over here. It looks like we have a little bit of a team fight going on. I'm not seeing anyone, however. I don't know if any of the rest of my team's engaged, so I'm going to actually retreat. No, it's useless. Well, we're going to need to get out of here because the storm's closing. I don't know what the rest of my team is doing hold up in this building because there's not as many people as I thought. I only saw 2 enemies that could be approaching us, and they're not exactly. I saw an epic chest up there, so I figured it'd at least be fun to open up. Um, Ideally, if I can get a legendary flame gauntlet, that would be the best. I like the combinations between flame and earth the most, mainly because they're the best. Um, Also, Dragonfire is really good. I'm gonna pick it up so other people can't. No, stay in my inventory at least. I'm currently trying to stick to a 3 gauntlet build because, well, if you have 3 good gauntlets, come on, come. You can try making use in between them. Um, I'm gonna try to take a look at the map to see. It looks like we're getting pushed in toward the middle for the last couple of fights. I haven't played a lot of battle royales as mentioned, but from my recollection, there's probably no more than 25 people left, which I imagine is going to be where everything starts getting lined up. Um, I don't have a good view of where my teammates are, especially if I can't catch up to them, so I'm going to be fighting here by myself. I'm going to take one nice combination that I found in between fire and I'm not sure if that's how it mechanically works, but ideally one nice combination between fire and rock is if you can light someone on fire, your earth gauntlets and the passive ability from your earth gauntlet will make it so you have a chance to make them not able to jump for a few minutes. Well, for the seconds that they're on fire, especially if the flame is able to persist from there. Damn it. So that's my first game. Um, I'm super excited to do 2 or 3 more, but well, I don't have any um, other commentary. I think one obvious fix was sticking with the team, but communication with the team is also a really helpful aspect. Um, I've always been I never enjoyed battle royales because of that. I never felt like jumping in with a team of people I've never met before is as enjoyable. And whenever I played TF2 in high school, I always played it with the same group of like 20 people. Of course, we played against each other, so it wasn't exactly like team building, but it was the same group of 20 people, and we always had fun. Uh, I found that sometimes it's cool to take like Scavenger or Zealot as a first class because those don't really um, affect what abilities or what gauntlets you get later in the game. Uh, one of my one of the classes I'm most partial to is Zealot. I really like taking Zealot, but if my understanding's correct, they got rid of Vivisect, or they got rid of, it wasn't Vivisect, we still have Vivisect as Zealot. They got rid of the ability that every time you take it, you reduce your rune charge, but you get 5 charges right off the bat. I have distinct memories from the 2 or 3 games I played with that Zealot ability, where I took it 3 or 4 times and had 15 flight rune charges that I could consistently use and use it to engage fights a lot easier. Of course, any of the items I get here is going to be moot. Um, again, not going to be able to get questions asked, but I am curious about how the team composition ends up playing out. I'm not sure if any of the members of teams have thought processes for what could be played, but one thing I always enjoyed from considering Spellbreak being an esport or consistently playing with the same members is the ability of having more than 2 gauntlets interchange off of each other. As mentioned previously, one of the stronger combinations I think that the meta has devised is Stone Fire or Stone Flame gauntlets, because on one hand you can do the line of fire and then you can launch any number of shockwaves through it. Of course, igniting the shockwaves. But because of that, I always thought it'd be cool to have a toxic player at the same area who would be able to dragon fire those shockwave flame bursts. Of course, you could potentially do that with a 3rd gauntlet yourself, but I also think strategic positioning associated with that would always be useful. As you saw earlier, I was playing a little bit of Toxicologist, and I was using the Wind Rune as little as that was, but I always thought it'd be cool to get Toxic Tornadoes rolling in there, or flipping, different choices of gauntlets. Of course, you could always take the opportunity to take, much stronger versions of battle classes. Well, a lot. The meta also consistently says not to take 2 of the same class skill. So taking Stone Shaper and Pyromancer is technically taboo, or taking Tempest and Toxicologist is also taboo. But, I mean, I more play this for the niche meta of it more than anything. It's not like it's going to break the game if you start with the ability to revive and you have the ability to have 200 armor instead of health. I think that they have their own niches. I do totally agree that Zealot and well, not Crack Shot both have their uses, but sometimes I think the Elemental class is a little bit more fun. I wanted to apologize if I sound pretty gravelly. I pretty much woke up and jumped straight into the session. I wanted to be able to get this done as fast, well, as soon as I could. It was pretty exciting to see that there was potentially even a lineup for a team of Spellbreak members, because I've never played any games that. Well, I've played like League of Legends, and TF2 now has its league, but I haven't played on a team before. I don't have a competitive record. The best I can say is I've played silver matches as a character in League of Legends, which again I play it more for the fun of it than anything. I imagine I was even doing an AD build at the time, so I don't know if that even counts. Yeah, fortunately there's um, enough classes that if you were to have 4 people take unique classes, you'd have a really nice build up that adds up to 8. There's 12 classes. Sticking with either meta terminology or by taking different combinations, you could do something like Conduit Scholar, or I previously played Zealot Scholar, which would both be compatible. Um, but you could have players that would be able to consistently say, "Hey, look, this character or this game I'm going to be playing only off of runes," because I was able to find a really high legendary skill rune on the further outskirts of the map, and we can use that to build off of our team. Where another player might end up doing something like I did, like Stone Shaper Scout, and go from there. Of course, that communication goes back into the whole vibe of things, but it could be really cool to get 4, 5, 6 combinations and players lined up off of that. That was one of the reasons that drew me to Spellbreak in the beginning. It had a really good setup for their different gauntlet combinations. The class combination worked out really well, but and as the game grows, it's only been getting better. This is actually the first time I loaded up Spellbreak in a couple of days, and one thing that I was surprised by is that they changed the color of the shrines. Of course, previously the shrines were red, and now they're beautiful blue. Um, so again, my starting procedure typically goes with figure out what items I can get right off the bat, see which classes might best fit with that, and go from there. I'm gonna just take the fire gauntlet because that's never bad. I'll let him get that chest because we always need a person with chest. I do remember playing a previous game where I played Scavenger Scout, which was kind of silly. Um, it was really silly because what I was able to do is I was able to run to each of the shrines as they were coming up. Like the shrines hadn't necessarily been dropped at that point, and using the scavenger ability, I would get an extra 2 skill points for some time. It ended up being kind of crazy because my character, despite not being able to communicate with the rest of the team, was running around and getting 4, 5, 7 extra levels. Um, it was super cool to be able to do that, and of course only shows the compatibility with other classes for Spellbreak. Um, one huge potential I see coming in the future of Spellbreak is the idea of taking off specific abilities for what a class might do. One thing I saw Stone Shaper do is it affects the Shockwave Gauntlet ability first. That's cool. And I think, as useful as that is, I think it's much more helpful for a class skill to affect the spellcasting ability of a character, not what that character might want to do. Um, an example might be more benefit based off of not making people able to jump, even if that would affect your fire gauntlet. That way you could have classes and someone taking Stone Shaper, but not necessarily, that's always fun, but not necessarily using the Stone Gauntlet itself. It's always kind of implied that you'd use the Stone Gauntlet, and you can imagine straight, like, changes that would happen because of it. But I don't think that the Gauntlet should be needed for a class. I think that a class can benefit based off of that. People can have their own preference of classes, which kind of ends up happening. Obviously, if you're using the Pyromancer class, you need to be able to set people on fire. But what if there was a passive that made it so that people were, lit on fire because of your spells? You could maybe have a someone using an ice gauntlet and have the pyromancer class, and they could slow them and then get the benefits of the pyromancer class by slowing them down. Of course, that's more of the nuanced things that's theory crafting than more than anything. But it's always fun to consider that Spellbreak is going to evolve as it goes on. It's going to get better and better games, better and better portions of its game. The rules are going to get more ironed out. Um, and it's just going to be more fun to play. I'm having fun just talking over the microphone and playing as kind of a recording slash interview questions. I always liked Featherfall more than anything. Infected? What does that one do? Increase puddle stock spray. As useful as that is, I don't want that. I did like to see that they changed how some of the amulets work. I think amulets are super appropriate to affect gauntlets. Again, it goes back to the idea of, well, if it affects the gauntlet, then you have to get the gauntlet first. And it does. Um, one thing I always felt because of that is it ends up building more like an RPG, which I think is what Spellbreak wants. Spellbreak works really well as an RPG or RPG light battle royale because it has its level system. Your character is going to get stronger as you go on, and eventually you're going to be able to do more things because of that. And fuck, well, that shows happy fire. Um, I think I'm gonna move my character toward Ruby Grove. As much fun as it would be to try to move toward the outside of the realm, I don't think that's gonna be a safe place right now. Looks like there's a little bit of a firefight out here. There's a shrine here, which is why I consistently like taking scout. I'm gonna activate the shrine during the firefight and see if I can proc anyone into it. If someone chose to make the mistake, there's another player out here I can keep an eye on, but getting the ability to get slightly more levels and potentially legendary gear is always useful. And again, calling toward that. My man. Uh, as expected, I might have bit off a little bit more than I can chew. Fortunately, one thing I have going for me is I have a resurrection. Um, I don't know if me and my team will be able to sneak out of here, but worst case scenario, well, we dive. As you can tell, we dove into the outside of the um, circle. It's not necessarily a problem because the circle isn't advancing currently, and I don't think that's going to be the biggest problem. Um, we survived the team fight. That's going to be the best we can do. Hot steak. Fuck. I don't think we can protect hot steak from here. Uh, from where we were originally, that was a really dicey battle. We can do our best. I again can't communicate, so we can't see what kind of battle is going on with it. I also think if I were to, ooh, there's some more gear. Oh come on, my boy. All right, I have an epic frost, right? Okay, well, I can also just press tab. It'll tell me everything that's here. I don't have any. There's anything I want. Rune charges is cool. I'm gonna keep rune charges. Again, probably not the most efficient, and especially why would you want multiple rune charges on Featherfall? Um, I'll see what I can do. I'll probably do a Featherfall Villagers combination later. I'm gonna see if on the map there's any other shrines. The only one I was able to see was the one on the far edge of the circle. Of course, not having scout, there's going to be other ones that come up, but we won't be able to see. Um, is it better than what I have now? It's so rare. No knowledge. I'm going to take a second to look at which classes. Oof. I'm going to slot for the Zealot abilities to regain armor. As you can imagine, there are different perks for each of the classes. I don't know why I'm trying to explain this to you. I haven't had a lot of people to talk to Spellbreak about. Um, I think that for certain classes, Zealot can get armor, and that will be more efficient for taking damage. Of course, if you're going against someone with a crack shot, they're specifically countered by the Zealot. So, you have to go from there. I don't like Wolf's Blood. that's the case, I'll pop the health or the shield potion immediately. Don't want to take too much health from the passive I just acquired. Do I see with my little eyes? Steak, you got this, boy. And then ideally, now that my health isn't going down, I can also pop a health potion. I'm going to. I'm not worried about my teammates. Well, I want my teammates to be able to get um, this ability more than me. Looks like we have a little bit of a firefight started up. Come on, Omega Riot. If you don't take it, I will. Well, I'd rather take that and go down than have our teammate, well, have one of the enemies take it personally. As a zealot, I could theoretically take it from someone. I'm just not sure how helpful that would be. That can't revive him right now. Damn it. Looks like this is where our team goes down. What ability would I've got? Immune to fireball and explosions. Heal 12 seconds while I'm here. Deception is always good. Blood armor. Again, I have 40 seconds. I don't think I'm going to be able to revive. If Flyer Boy's back, my man! So we might still be in the game. I don't want Flyer Boy to go down, but if I can't move. Oh, hey! I've never actually gotten a win in a battle royale before. I'm perfectly okay with that. I'm kind of hyped, actually. Hell yeah. I'm going to jump right back into a game again. Gotta get as much footage as I can. Well, I don't. I would enjoy getting 3 or 4 games worth of footage. 4 or 5 even would be great. Um, I'm excited to hear if you guys have any thoughts. Honestly, if you guys could critique my gameplay, that'd be even better. Because I've never had the opportunity, or I've never felt like I've had the opportunity to try to do a video interview for gaming. That's super cool. I distinctly remember getting into the open beta of Spellbreak and downloading it immediately, and I tried referring 4 or 5 of my friends to play it, but unfortunately, the people I play games with a lot of times mostly play games on the Switch or don't have access to a lot of higher end computers. So one person got it, but they weren't able to download it because of their computer specs, and I don't think the other people tried as hard as I did. So I don't have very many people to play against, well, play with. Um, I distinctly remember going on Discord once and picking up a group of people, and it was super fun to get get a small team going together and talking. But in about the same way that the last couple of matches have gone, I didn't specifically protect them very well because we didn't have anything to protect against. And when one of us went down, the rest of us went down. Um, got him. Speaking of which, I'm actually going to take my 2 classes beforehand. I'm going to take Scout Scavenger, as I mentioned previously. Uh, as much fun as that is. I've previously taken Zealot Scholar, which is a really fun class. Zealot Scholar both rely on rune uses, so if you can bank most of your abilities off that, or another ability that they both similarly share is taking 40 damage. I can't see the rest of the teams, but one example is the Zealot will make sure to, well, his ability says he takes less damage if he took 40 damage all at once within 3 seconds. And that makes it a really strong defensive ability, where the uh, Scholar has an ability that says if you take 40 damage in a couple of seconds, you automatically recharge your rune. And so I think that both of those play off of each other really well. I think Scholar Conduit also plays really well together, but that goes more toward if you want to take a class that uh, is tiered toward a element and another class that isn't, or vice versa. Um, as you can tell, I've had a good time trying to take multiple element abilities or two abilities or two classes that don't have elements associated with them. Um, we'll see how this game goes. Again, I think it's going to be super exciting to run forward and try to get as many points. I remember that if you get all of your equipment slots full, you decrease rune slowdown, so that's always helpful. And I can get extra potions. So I think this will be a good combination of character. Um, I'm noticing some of the new visual UI changes during the last game. It's kind of nice to be able to see what skills you'll have queued up for your character and what spell will cast off of which button press. I remember previously those weren't even lined up. It just showed the recharge time of your rune, the recharge time of your sorceries. Um, I previously found out that there's a Spellbreak ideas subreddit. And unfortunately, I only have like 12 subscribers, but I have 4 or 5 class suggestions, gauntlet suggestions, just changes to classes that I don't feel like are consistent with how they are meant to be played. That I think would be really cool to write down and have someone else see. I previously sent a message to Polarit, which I don't think they minded. I don't think they also got to it. That basically described some changes I would make to the Frostborn and Stone Shaper classes. I feel like Stone Shaper appears to be more movement oriented and doesn't need Stone of Flesh, and vice versa for the Iceborn class. I think Iceborn ends up playing a lot more defensively, and I don't think a Frozen Clarity lines up with that class very well. Again, that goes into theory crafting more than anything. And if you were in charge of a company, what would you do with $1 million? But again, I I don't think that is the topic of discussion currently. I'm not sure if Blue's going to be able to go to Whitgrove, whichever one that is, but I can use my Scout's ability to be able to see which shrines are going to be popping up next, and if the circle's going to be closing. If that's the case, I might actually try to circle down here, because I imagine these are going to be in the circle. Um, Again, one specific ability that I'm going to be trying to utilize as much as possible is picking up an equipment slot for everything, um, because that will give me faster runes cooldowns. I don't know why all of that dropped, but while I'm doing that, I can still pick up the rare items that I want. Even then, I'll pick up. Bam, we got him. Um, yeah, they're still there. I'm gonna run for it. There's a lot of people. That was really. Oh Jesus. I'm not gonna lie, that was really bad. I'm gonna go with appraisal for if I happen to survive. I don't know if the person's on my team or not. Yep, no, that was the game. I can totally call out that I was getting a little bit over ambitious with what looking at the map, which if you have an excuse, that's not a good answer. I'm gonna just start up a new game right away. Um, I fully intend on taking Scout Scavenger again. I don't think that the class combination I took was a problem. I think that the setting my group landed in was more than anything the problem. As you saw, we immediately jumped into a 2v1, and as much fun as that would be, it didn't necessarily lay out toward any better for anyone. And then I jumped into a puddle of poison, which again didn't really work out for anyone. Unfortunately, that means you get another 5 minutes of commentary from me. So we're gonna try to see how we can get through this without as much suffering as possible. Uh, I guess at this point in the video, it would be totally appropriate for me to ask what kind of things you'd be looking for from me. Um, I don't know how. Um, well, I can't imagine what you're gonna respond with, so it can go with either way. Uh, I also consistently hear jokes on Reddit that the Chrono Master Room is really good, and it is really good. I just haven't had a good chance to use it a lot of the times. Um, I feel like a lot of times my character, or the playstyle I go with, is running as fast as I can and kind of trying to get out of situations rather than using rewind. And rewind is really good. The best characters I play in League of Legends are use rewind abilities, uh, but this isn't exactly the same as point and click MOBA. Being put back into a situation 4 seconds ago, as fun as that is, it could be even more detrimental, and you have to be more careful. So, fortunately, I'm not going to be running in with these abilities. My character's all kitted out. As much fun as that is, I don't have to worry too much about it. Actually, I'm not sure. Does poison interact with stone? No, it just doesn't. Yeah. Um, it doesn't even look like they have very many interactions at all. This person's just having a good time here. We're just kind of dorking around. I'm not even attacking her. Um, as we've mentioned previously, I absolutely adore the combinations between different types of elements. I found that wind and toxic is probably one of my favorites still, because you can get a toxic tornado, and I'm not sure if as many people know this, but you can target a puddle on the floor to turn it into a gas. Uh, and I think I have done that previously to make into like pseudo cover. It's not necessarily cover that will help. It's just cover that can exist. Um, and of course, if you're playing playing toxicologist, or at least using a poison gauntlet, one of the most important things is knowing, oh hey, my teammates can't get through this area if there's poison. And I think Tempest and the Wind Gauntlet really cover that up nicely. I've had a lot of complaints for how Wind Gauntlets play off with each other, but I think it ends up playing more of a supportive role anyway. You can have a Wind Gauntlet that the way it works is it allows you to effectively rocket jump as you were able to in TF2, which adds a lot of mobility options. It adds a lot of other things, and it allows for you to clear out items. From what I previously saw, uh, electric and wind play off of each other a little bit. Because if you have an area that's electrified, you can send a wind shear through it and carry the electricity with it to wherever it would normally travel. Of course, not all combinations need to be offensive, which is the better part. I think that makes the Wind Gauntlet perfectly appropriate, but same with Stone, it feels like it only kind of combination combos with fire and then it clears the rest of the area. Like, you don't have anything that you can do otherwise. So, there's a lot there. I'm gonna suggest going here. Okay, cool. Uh, my thought process is the scout ability is kind of telling you where the circle's going to be because I don't imagine any of the opening shrines are going to be outside of the circle. That being said, we might be sacrificing the ability to get shrines now, but if we can get the shrines before they are accessed by other players, I think that will be a lot better. I'm going to just have to walk around. I'm not sure if I'm planning on using the Belt of Constitution right now, so I'm not even going to use my health pot. There are 2 epic items in this. I'm going to keep just the Ice Gauntlet for now. I've consistently joked that it's nice to take, I don't know which ability I got. I've joked that it's consistently nice to take Fire and Ice Gauntlets for cover reasons. You can interact nicely with Steam. I don't think Steam's an effective source of material, but I think that it's definitely fun to play with. I'm going to take that one instead, and I'm going to take that. Taking a look at our map, I totally called it. I'm the green one, so I'm going to start heading toward Fort Hallishin. Because that way I can get potentially 3 shrines on my way back, and using the scavenger's abilities, we can get much more. I'm going to take a second as I'm running to check which skill I ended up getting. I did not want... Oh, did I? Well, it gives me an extra potion of that type. That is really good. I also have a pair of gauntlets that work really well together. One combination that is good between ice and electric is that you can electrify the field that you go with, so you can kind of create a big push of... Okay, I'm not going to be able to get up there very easily. You can create a big line of ice, and as you go from there, you can electrify it. You can do more damage because of that. Of course, I don't have an amulet, so any kind of items that I can carry with me is going to be useful. I have access to 2 more chests up here, but I'm probably not going to pick up much more than that. I already joked that I wanted to get the fire and ice combination. I don't think that's going to be a problem at all. I need to keep going this way if I want to get any more shrines. There it is. I guess I wasn't paying attention that I had a rune, a certain rune. So the first thing I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to make sure that there's no one around. Of course, my team's all the way over there, so if I were to go down, there's no way that I'm going to be able to get help from them. One thing I'll probably do is I'll hit this building really fast, and if anyone thinks that they can take my shrine, I'll at least be able to get the jump on them, and if I don't get the shrine, I can deal any amount of damage to them before they get here. I'll be able to use the scavenger's ability to get some more potions. Of course, I didn't see anyone come over here, so we have some good options for new types of items. Well, it's just skill points. I'm going to be heading toward the further one yet. I figured if I can get perked up, my character will be able to do better. I'm just going to take a praise and then tracking. I've always felt that tracking was a ability that functioned very similar to the scholar ability. I realized afterward, after I said that, basically, that as they are different, one of them only lasts 2 seconds, the other one affects like everyone. I'm gonna take and get rid of that. Shockleaf is really good, and I wanted to see. Oh, I'm gonna get this. Yeah. Oh. I'm gonna to spend too much time over here. Any time I spend over here, it's another second for people to find me. Uh, Pretty excited to see how this game turns out. I've been putting a lot of perks behind this character, and I don't want more thirst quenching. I'm already kind of sticking with how many potions my character has. I'm going to activate this and keep going. My character's at full kit. I think the only thing that would be better is putting the Constitution belt on them. I'm probably going to take this shrine and head as fast as I can back to my allies. It looks like they're doing great, but I don't want them to be alone from here. Ooh, Amulet is just never bad. Since I don't want Thirst Quencher again, I don't know how useful it would be to just pump out potions. I guess to be fair, you could kind of play a character that gets more potions than anything else. And as they do their thing, yeah, I don't want that right now. Those are both good, but they're kind of independently useful. I'm going to try to make it to Halcyon Pass. Of course, my character is also able to determine that there's a whole bunch of items nearby, so I might take a look into the shrine just to be safe. And I'm going to pick that up because that's useful, but none of those items are stuff I'll necessarily want to use. I've kitted out with stone, and so I'm going to try to take the opportunity to deal some damage with that. I'm going to take a second to back off. Oh, I'm not a pyromancer this game. I'm going to take more potions. It looks like they're a pyromancer, so any amount of damage I want to deal with them, it's going to all have to come from stone gauntlets. They're also probably using toxicologist runes, so I'm going to have to back off from here. I am really low health. It looks like someone got downed here. I can't take a second to look at what they have. I'm honestly just going to zoom around to try to not get killed. I'm going to take the scout ability because I think that will be better. That's epic chest. That one's already open. Well, that's better than what I have. It's kind of nice to see the updates on what abilities you take. I don't know how much I can help my team from over here. I don't want that one open. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to zoom in, help clean up a little bit, do scouty things. I'm going to take some guesses as to where the other enemies might be coming around. As you can see, I kind of used all of my my sorceries, but I don't think that's too much of a problem. One thing that's always useful is deterrent of movement, and if I can kind of scare someone from following lead, then that's just more help for us. Again, I'm going to try to help out my team a little bit. I went down. I'm not gonna try to hope that my teammates can pick me up. The only thing I can hope for is holding out until they're done with this firefight. Of course, one thing that's unique about battle royales is that, of course, there's gonna be no one else to help out, but maybe two blunts will be able to help me. Two blunts a day. Two blunts a day. He's not concentrating. I noticed that the exile notification is a lot longer than it used to be. I think 60 seconds. It's actually kind of appropriate. Um, take that skill. Not that we'll get up. I don't think blunt is. My boy! Alright, we're back. Um, so, again, deterring of movement is one thing that I think is a really good strategy. They have to go the long way around and potentially even go into um, the storm because of that. So we can take a moment to fight 1v1 or Team V3 or what have you. I'm not sure how many people are left over here, so I'm going to take my time to... Oh, I'm already fading away. Of course, I don't have to worry too much about taking damage while fading away. One thing that might be unique is if you took, if you fade away multiple times in a session, you of course would have a shorter time that you be around. I'm not sure if General Mantis is gonna be able to get over here to get me blunts, but then again, I don't know how many people are here still fighting. Um, hey, my man, two blunts a day. Teammates are the best right now. I'm gonna step here so I can get the skill upgrade. I wanted to pick up movement speed near my teammates get movement speed near me. I think that's always good. My first pair of boots. That's two blunts. Oof, oof. Of course, the last bit of the fight is going to come down to this. Um, it looks like we have a Tempest in the mix, so they'll be trying to deter movement, but it also looks like we have three of our teammates still here, so we won't have to worry too much about that. I'm going to be picking up... I have a full inventory. um, do we win? Hey, we won. Anyway, I think that's a really good note to end off on. I've been having a timer running at the same time, so we're at 58 minutes. So I'm not sure if that's an appropriate amount of time. Well, you wanted an hour, so um, hopefully this has been a good preview into how I play Spellbreak. Um, I haven't actually gotten quests before, so I'm just going to leave that. And I'd like to thank you guys for my consideration. I'm going to take this. Goodbye.